All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. I am your host, Augustine Sharif, and I am here with my brothers, Mr. Emmanuel Sapalusia, and I'm also here with Dr. Positive. He's not a real doctor, but I think he's the CEO for this platform. And I'm here with these two gentlemen. And gentlemen, I'll come back to you to greet you, but let me just introduce our segment. And to those in Liberia who are joining us today on YouTube and Facebook, we know it's about 8 p.m. now in Liberia. We say welcome to the platform, share the broadcast, and we always enjoy having you. Friday the 13th, there has always been a superstition around that particular day and date. The 13th, Friday the 13th. That's going to be a Friday to remember by Mr. Justin Opa Yezian, aka Prophet Key, in the context of Liberia. And basically on Friday, the 13th, the Supreme Court of Liberia, they made a decision. And as we know, the prophet was sentenced to serve some time. But basically, our goal here today is not to talk about Mr. Yazian or Justin. It's not to talk about Justin. It's not to talk about any other perpetrator in the country who have been using inflammatory languages. Our goal is not to even define what inflammatory language is all about, but our goal is to look at this case as a case study and to look at whether it is unprecedented or whether it's precedented, whether it's a case that is intended to set precedent. We want to look at it and just see the feedback of what are people saying and how are Liberians understanding the sentence that was given. And so I'll bring my friends back on the broadcast. I will introduce them here. Dr. Positive is here with me today. And I also have Mr. Emmanuel Sapalusia. And just as a caveat, we want to just let all of our viewers know, nobody on this platform is of legal expertise. None of us here are lawyers. And so we are not going to be coming to you from a law perspective. We are just going to be using the beautiful book that we all have called the Constitution, and we are going to be bringing common sense to the discussion today. Mr. Sapalusia, how are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Today's another warm day in Houston, Texas, and we are grateful for that day. And I want to say hello to all our Liberian people. We are not, like our brother said, we are not legal personnel, but we are just using our little man, waterside, Yana Ball, street boy, whatever you want to call us, idea to make sense out of what's going on in our country.
Thank you, Mr. Sapalusia. Dr. Positive,
Gentlemen,
you are also in Texas, but you are on another side of Texas.
yes, I am. I'm on the better side of Texas, so the real Texas, yeah. Yeah, but anyway, how you guys doing? Happy belated Valentine to all of you and to everybody out there, the lovers in our community. Happy Valentine to all of you again. Thank you for following us. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be a great discussion. We want to talk about Liberia and the future of Liberia. When I heard all these things going on, what I asked myself is, how does this help the future of Liberia, dignity-wise, and the betterment of our society? So I would like to follow through on the discussion. You are here for a great discussion today. So thank you, Mr. Sharif.
All right, gentlemen, it's good to have you. And to our viewers here in the US, and we say please share the broadcast. We know you will have opinion. We know you have comments to share. We welcome your comments on Facebook. You can join us on Facebook, send us those comments. We'll do our best to read some of them. And if you would like to call to add your voice, we will also make a number available for you to call and add your voice. But gentlemen, let's not waste too much time. Let's go right into the discussion. While people was preparing to have Valentine's, to celebrate Valentine's, and to go through all of the festivities of the weekend, we were focused on another case, and that case involved Mr. Justin Yazian. I know I don't like to call anybody a prophet because he's not a prophet, but that's his given name, Justin. And so that was the case, and we were kind of following. But, Sapalusi, I just want you, where were you? What were your reaction when you first heard the case? Before I really go into it, let's just give an overview on what you thought this was all about and what was your initial reaction.
So first, when I heard about the word contempt, I was thinking, okay, did the court invite this guy and he did not show up? That was my first thing, because when I hear contempt, most of the time, that is the reason for which the court I mean, people will pronounce the word contempt, whether the lawmakers invited you, did not show up, or the court issue a warrant and you did not show up, right?
Yeah.
That's what came to mind first. And then we started hearing about it going to court and coming back and all that stuff. And then I started honest. I didn't even know that he had a because I blocked him long time ago, more than 5, 6 years ago. Yes, when he started his profanity, the scene with Yeke Kolba too, I blocked him long time ago because while it is true, we all get politically motivated or agitated or whatever you want to ascribe to your feeling or emotions. I believe that we can do these things in a silver, non-vocal, vocal or vocalarity. Let me put it that way. And we all know, you and I know, growing up, and all of us, this group, these two people name I just called, we all grew up right about the same time in Liberia, right? And we also pre-war, and then we lived throughout the war at a young age, and we all came out of that war. So I don't want people to use the word or the war as an excuse for being vocal. The words that they're using today to be, oh, that's the reason it's a war that traumatized me is because we heard this during the war. Yes, we all heard this term in the war, right? So I don't want that to be an excuse for which they are doing these things. But
Okay.
I don't think that Liberians, looking at our African culture, that is the way we should be addressing one another in public, especially to the extent to the extent these two guys and so insulting people publicly. I don't think it's the right way to go. But when you ask the question, when you hear contempt, that's what keeps in mind. Initially, there were contempt charges against him.
All right, Dr. Positive, what was your initial reaction when you heard about whether it was the verdict or you heard anything regarding what was happening? What was your initial reaction? And again, I don't want us to spend too much time on the characters. I really want us to get somewhere. So,
Well, as a Liberian who is hoping for decency in our country, as I felt like it's about time, you know. But then on the other side, I did ask myself a question: is this justice or is this a grab of power, a show of power? You know, and when we were all small, one thing you never did was you never called your friend man, right? You cause your friend man as that straight fighting, you can argue, yeah, you're starting to fight. So I think the Chief Justice himself is already showing that, hey, there's a limit. And the question Liberians are asking is this going to be for everybody, or are we seeing self-centered justice system here? So when you step on my toes, that the only time the law take place, the law take action. But when you step on my toe, you can step on anybody else's toes. Once it's not my toes, you fine, you know, and that's what I'm seeing from my perspective. So, and I think that's what the country itself, most people are angry because we have people cases that sit in court for years. You have people land being taken. You have people houses being taken by force and all those things. None of them, you don't even the big $16 billion that got stolen in Liberia that we never saw any person up to today. One person didn't go to jail for that thing. So where is our justice acting? When do they really act? You understand? So that's what I hope that when our listeners leave this, they will understand that this country, if this is for the betterment of Liberia, justice should not be biased.
okay, thank you. And so, Sapolusi, I really want us to get to the meat, okay? Again, I don't want to waste too much time and say that man caused that man. I'm not a moral police. I'm not a moral police, so I'm not here for the morality of it. I'm not here to talk about, because if I say something, those guys can curse me out and I can care less. We are not friends. They can curse me, say whatever you want to say. You're not going to do anything differently. But Sabalusi, I want you to please take some time and let's get to the freedom of speech, or let's look at our constitution. Let's look at this infringement clause. Let's look at all of these different things. And again, to our viewers, while Sabalusi is looking for this, we want to be very clear. There is no one here on this platform who is a lawyer. No one here is of legal mind. We are all professionals, but all professions have nothing to do with law. So he's going to be reading from our constitution, and we are going to be looking at that, and we're going to try to dissect some things here. Friends, stay tuned, share the broadcast. We're getting somewhere with this today. Go ahead, Sabalusia.
So Article 15 of the Constitution is the one that addresses freedom of speech. Now, in A, is it every person shall have the right to freedom of expression, being fully responsible for the abuse thereof. The right shall not be curtailed, restricted, or enjoined by the government, save during an emergency declared in accordance with the Constitution, right? So that's Article 15. You got B, C, D, all the way to E. Now,
Okay, so listen,
yeah,
I want you to
let
stop
me
there
get
for
to E. I think there were E is where the Supreme Court was coming in. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
In E, it said the freedom may be limited by judicial, but only judicial action in proceeding granted in defamation or invasion of the rights of privacy and publicity, or in the commercial aspect of expression, in deception, false advertising, or copyright infringement. That's
So
Article
listen,
15E.
let's start Article 15E. That's exactly what I want to also start look at.
Yeah.
So it talks about this limitation to this right, to this freedom of speech, right?
Yes.
It talks about this limitation, and they also mention, the abuse thereof. We talk about the abuse, we talk about all of that, the defamation, all of those different things. So the defamation is very clear. If I come today, Sapalucia, you are a good man. But tomorrow they make you health minister, and I come today and I say, I go on social media and say the World Health Organization gave the Ministry of Health $10 million, and that $10 million went into Sapalucia's pocket. I have no proof. You can now, based on that, you can sue me for defamation of character. Am I reading it correctly?
No, you're right. Yes.
Okay. You can sue me for defamation of character because I have no proof, I have nothing to stand on, but here I am and moving in the right direction. But what part of that Constitution that you just read, Section E, where does it mention this whole concept that falls under what Justin was accused of, Justin Yazian? What part of that falls under that Constitution?
So remember, even though, and I listened to his, because I had to go back to find his video to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
In his video, he mentioned all of the justices, almost the court system. He said they were all corrupt, right? And then he mentioned some people in the circuit courts that have properties. Then he came down from that, before he went to the first branch of government, that what he did, the legislature, he said they were corrupt. He went to the executive branch, who he said was the second branch of government. He said it was corrupt. And then he came to the judicial, where he spent most of his time. And then he overall went with the judicial, the chief justices. Then he narrowed it down to some of the circuit courts, how some of the magistrates own properties and stuff while serving in government. Then he focused it on the current chief justice, right? And talk about how he built, I think, a hotel or some buildings in Nima County that he want to complete, and because of that, he's being corrupt and he's being bought by whatever he means he's talking about, right? So now, from a broader aspect, in my opinion, listen to his talk, if he had just limited it to just generalizing with that specific group of people, in my opinion, say, let's say the three branches of government are corrupt, blah, 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 he have no specific person, right? But when he started drilling it one by one and then targeting a certain group, then, in my opinion, it became a problem, especially with the judiciary, because the Constitution, those are the people. In Article E, subsection E of the Article 15, that talks about if your conduct or your speech interfere with the credibility of the judicial system, then it becomes a problem.
Okay, so let me hold you there for a second. Dr. Posey, let me bring you in, because what we are looking at here, I think my friend get it. My friend River says Pro, he gets it. Because everything that Mr. Sapalucia just kind of broke down for us, yes, we get a defamation piece, we get all of these different pieces, the limitation, we get all of that in the Constitution. However, though, when you look at the core of this particular case, no one says, and this is the part that I really want us librarians to understand. No one once said that Mr. Justin Yazian, you are going to jail or you are going to South Beach. Is it South Beach or South Beach? It's South, right?
South.
Okay, so we are not taking you to South Beach because you cursed someone. He was not charged specifically for cursing someone, but he was charged with contempt of court. And Stephen, I mean, are you getting the same thing that we are getting? Are you just as confused as we are? Because most Liberians, they are saying, you know what? Because the man calls you, that's a paragraph.
Yeah, I mean, not being a lawyer, not being in a legal system, it confuses all of us, right? But just trying to follow the case, right? This guy and all these, and we have a senator, sitting senator that all stay on car and cause and do whatever you want to do, and up to today, he hasn't been brought to any. He haven't, no case have been brought against him. You understand? So for somebody to just hit the Supreme Court and then all of a sudden they've been within 7 days, right? Because it was on the 2nd, and then they invited him to court on the 13th, right? So within that short period of time for somebody to be brought to court, people will say that's personal. That this is something personal. So it's not about the legal system. If somebody violating the legal system or anything, is about a personal attack. So that's where people are seeing this, and I think the justice themselves have to come up and make the public understand what made them to make this decision, because all of us are confused, because like I didn't know I did law 101, right? But that was it. But so the justices themselves have to kind of clarify this to the public and say, hey, this is the reason we did this, and we want you all to understand that Liberia is going to be a decent country. And if you start, like Chatila used to say, assassinating people's character, you will be held accountable going forward, right? This is a new, how you call it, major in place now. The game has changed. We can't have the same system over and over where people keep insulting people and things like that. So until they come up and say that, for us, the common people who understand law, we just think that because this guy insulted the Chief Justice, that's why they took him to prison.
Thank you, Dr. Posede. Sapolusi, let me bring you in. Right? Just buttress that a little bit. Buttress that because, and let's look at the charges that was dropped. It said contempt of court, and let's look at what that entails. Because Sapolusi, you and myself, we got it the same way. When I hear contempt of court, I'm like, oh, maybe this guy, he disrespected the court. They invited him and he didn't show up. Or, contempt of court, maybe he was in a courtroom and he was acting rude and he was misbehaving, and they charged him with contempt for disrespecting the court. And so that was my thing. But in this particular charge, when they say contempt of court, basically they're putting this whole thing under the big umbrella. We didn't come to the player where they say this is what you can do to fix it, but they put it under this whole umbrella, and they're saying that, look, you disrespected the entire judiciary system. And because you did that to the entire judicial system, that is the charge on him. Am I reading it correctly, Mr. Sabalusi?
Yeah, exactly. So again, everything that was done here. Yes, and I think I said it initially. I said public opinion matters, right? Everything that was done here is in accordance with the Constitution. So if you look at 15E, it tells you why the freedom of speech can be limited. Then you go forward to Article 74, and that is where I want people to really understand, because the same statement Dr. Pastor just made, what's his name, Senator, because he put it is a public he put in the public, Senator Cornell from Bapolu made similar statement based on his observation. He said he himself had been insulted and nothing had been done. Now, Dr. Pastor talked about somebody standing on the car and insulting people, Yaka Kolba causing people. The only time the Supreme Court or any court can pick up those issues unless somebody file a civil law against them. The Supreme Court cannot go and look for cases. So let us also clear that in the air, so that the people don't say, oh, because the person, why the Supreme Court not do? No, the Supreme Court do not go and look for cases. You have to bring those cases to the Supreme Court. Now, this is what article
No, Sabalusi, let me hold you there for a second before you go to that Article 74. Let me hold you there for a second, though. Yeah. Basically, when people saying, this happened and nobody did anything about it. These cases, I know we are not lawyers, guys, but let's just use common sense, right? These cases, are these even cases that need to make their way to the Supreme Court?
Exactly. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Sherry. So
that's my point.
Yeah. So Sabalosa, I said when nobody brought charges against anybody.
No. Nobody filed civil.
Nobody filed. Yeah, nobody filed. So who now file charges against Prophet Key that the Supreme Court is now file charges against Prophet Key? Since
that's Article 74. That's Article 74. So this is what Article 74 says. It said in all matters of contempt of court, whether the Supreme Court or in other court, the penalties shall be imposed fixed. And if you go to it's starts from chapter 70, I mean article 73, but 14 talk about contempt of court. That's the only power the Supreme Court has to bring on people. Okay, imposed shall be fixed by the legislature and shall be conformed to the provision of the fundamental rights laid down in this Constitution. Now, Sharif, so if you can come back, you remember when we started, I said there was a case I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
That is not from Liberia. However, a similar thing, if you look at the principle that apply here by the Supreme Court, is similar to that happened in the United States. If you can remember back in 2008, 2009, between 2008 and 10, there was a case in Florida about with George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin.
That's right. The stand your ground case.
Exactly. So the court did not charge George Zimmerman for murder. They charged him with stand your ground law. Because they were not trying to charge him, they were trying to defend their law. And that's exactly what the Supreme Court used here. Because in order for the Supreme Court to prove libel or defamation of character, they will have to show how much they lost. And because they cannot prove that they lost any amount of money in physical cash or something or repetition in that short space of time, they cannot try Justin for libel or defamation of character. So that is the fastest way the Supreme Court, in my opinion, from my observation, that they could bring that case to being and be judged and adjudicated right away, is to use that charge, the contempt charge. That's the only case that they can pick up on their own without going to arrest a man, go to the Justice Department and go through all that process. That's the only way to do it fast and quick.
Okay, so thank you, Sabalusia, man. You guys should go back to law school. If Liberia Rise have money, we'll send you to law school. Stephen did Law 101. But man, look, I love your energy. I love your understanding of our Constitution. That's what I wanted you to be here today. This is great for the platform. But Stephen, let me come back to you, right? You said something earlier, brother. You said, Sharif, when we were young, you don't cause your friend man. Because when you cause your friend man, that's where issues can come from. You'll start fighting. But so forget about, we know that he's not charged for cursing somebody, man. Let's just put it, that's not what they charge him with. But let's put it this way, friend. Let's look at the behavior, the conduct. In our good society, in our society like Liberia, where we respect our man. Oh man, I was just fortunate, my man, to be part of a very good wedding. My good friend Sabalusia was here in Colorado. He came, the man's son got married, and the next day after the wedding, it's my first time seeing anything like that. The next day after the wedding, they brought the son and they brought the wife. We met at a place, and the mother of the groom.
No, Sherry, don't leave that part out. Sherry and his wife were gracious enough to open their home to us.
That's not part of the show.
It's a lovely place.
Not part of the show. Why are you
it's part of the show now. There's a lovely place, and there was a I don't know how to call it, host to us.
So the man's son, the king, the wife, the mother of the groom, sat the wife down and said, "Let me tell you, you are getting married into an African culture. My son will always be African. In my culture, that boy you see there, so that's my baby. He respects me, and that respect will never go away. And so he's getting married to you. We love you as our daughter. However, when it comes to respect, that respect should be there. So that African value, that man, I'm saying this to go somewhere where it's the African value, they make sure that white girl, as she was sitting there, she hearing this stuff, she couldn't help but cry. And as the mother was saying this to the daughter-in-law, the mother too was crying. And the uncles were there. The uncle said, "Son, you see that tear your mom crying? You got to go wipe it." And the groom got up and he wiped his mom's face. I'm telling you, this is something about our culture, that decency, that discipline. So let's talk about the behavior that brought about all of this contempt of court case. It's a right for you, who own this platform, for you to sit here and you said because of freedom of speech and just open your beautiful mouth and just start cursing people and just start doing stuff that is not civilized. I don't want to go to the lawmaker yet. I want to talk about you as a human being. It should this because you get freedom of speech.
Yeah, so Sharif, this is something that I think the question I will look at the Liberian people and put it to all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because do you know that people pay people to insult other people? You understand? People pay people, and these things have to be stopped at some point in our society. And where do we draw the line? You understand? Where do we draw this line? In fact, as far as the decency is concerned, as far as dignity is concerned, for you to sit on air and describe the private part of a woman to the level of denigration is horrible. And women are even scared to talk to some of these guys because once they say it, they get so disgraced online. And our own sister Judy Andy was part of that, right? And it never went anywhere. So my question when I kept reviewing all these things is, at what point do we have a public discourse where you all and I can sit down here, we even argue on stuff and we don't insult each other? When would that become something of a beauty, where when you're sitting down with your son or daughter watching TV, right, you don't have to put your hand on that ear because somebody is insulting somebody so bad. So I think for as a Liberian, this is where I hope our country start looking. And when I was reading the summary, they said Prophet Key said he will not cause nobody again. Right?
But he's also missing the point, because that is not what he is charged with.
Yeah, that is so why again, apologize. And when you not do bad, and you go somewhere, you're trying to apologize, so they won't do, and the woman won't be you, so you gotta apologize. So he'll apologize, and the people say, I will not cause anybody again, whether it's true or not. At least he's the most popular insulter online. Let me just put it out there, right?
I don't think that's the title. I don't think that's the title that they want.
No. I mean, let me just put it this way. Let's be fair. I mean, being that a person, I'm scared to watch the men's show because the level of thing that go on, I don't like it, right? But like Sapolosia said, everything you talk about, corruption happening in our country, those are serious things. The justice system have to start handling those. Where doctors, ministers have their own hospitals, all those things, a conflict of interest, all those things he was talking about, those make sense, right? But you can say it in a aggressive and professional way, or intelligently insult somebody, right? Instead of going to their mother or their children and things like that. So that's what I will appeal to those who think that we should use violence or we should use profanity. I would say find intelligent way to use your profanity so that all of us can watch it, because some of the things they talk about, some of the things they bring up are important things that need to be discussed in our country. And it takes people with big platform for people to hear them. So we can't stop him from talking. We can't stop him from his level, from his style of broadcast, but it has to be censored some way or the other.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Positive. So Dr. Mr. Sapolusi, I want to bring you here again, all right? They are trying to use this case. When someone's setting for you, they've been waiting, setting for you, and you make mistake and you cross that, and when they get you, all of the charges they wanted to bring long time ago, they'll dump everything on you, right? So now, even though the Supreme Court or the system did not come up and say, hey, we are charging you for cursing the Chief Justice's mom, we are not charging you for this. Even though they didn't say that, however, though, if this man, Justin, has just gone ahead and just say everything he said, because he will not be the only person, we'll all be standing and clapping for him, because we know the system is corrupt. We are not going to hide behind it. We know whether it is not just this administration, but throughout the unfortunate history of our country, corruption has always been there. Yeah. And corruption is the bedrock of the society. You and myself, we witnessed corruption firsthand while we were still children, and that corruption that some of us were part of, we didn't call it corruption at the time, but we were there and we saw teachers that took money from students, that slept with students, Those were all corrupt behaviors.
Yeah.
We never coined it corrupt, but those were all corrupt. So corruption is part of the system. Now, if Justin has just gone and mentioned all of the corruptive behavior in the country without saying somebody, Policia, do you think we're going to be here if he had not just cursed? He just went through and said everything is corrupt. But this is where Liberians are upset. They are saying this is a power grab because he is only angry to bring about this case and stand behind Article 74 because he was cursed or his mom was cursed. So now he went back and bring Article 74 in and said, we're going to charge you based on this. Because I don't want to say you cursed me, so I'm going to get mad. He know there was going to be an uproar.
Yeah, you see, and that is why I always tell people, I say, look, yeah, information, you got to know how to carry information. Hey!
Daddy duty.
Daddy duty. He on daddy duty. Stephen be talking. Why the man taking care of his children in the background?
Yeah.
Okay, Sabulisha, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, you got to be very careful how you express your message. Because, this is what I always tell my class and so to young people that I talk to. I say, if you look in the world, we got water, right? The water we drink every day. We like water either cold or we like it hot. When it becomes lukewarm, it becomes almost distasteful, right? So, for example, if you are thirsty, you pick up a very lukewarm water, you put it in your mouth, first thing you spit it out. That's what messages are. So, if Justin have just kept his word by saying those things without adding insults, the Supreme Court are going to put their case, but I can tell you, 99.9% of all Liberians, in fact, they're going to be afraid. They were going to be afraid to even bring the charges of contempt. But because he put something in there that diluted that message, people are no longer listening to the corruption and all this stuff. Because when I got the information, all I heard was, oh, they say they got Michael. But because I don't let him listen to it because of what he had done in the past, I decided to say, no, let me take my chance and listen to what he actually said. But actually, the beginning of his message was substantive. It was something that I can listen to and I can agree to. But when he went specific to this man and started talking about, I will do this and I will do that, and he went on doing it explicitly, then he diluted his message. So nobody will listen to what he has to say. Now think about it. I know not everybody that listens to are Christians, but I always tell people you got to listen. I'm not a Muslim, but I read Quran. Read the books for the principles that are in there and understand what it means. Then you may know why the person thinks the way they were. Listen to how Jesus Christ, when he was walking on earth, for most of Liberian, going to see that a Christian nation, that's what they say. Whenever he was attacked, he didn't. Be
careful. We'll hold you in contempt.
Yeah, I will defend myself in that one. I will defend myself. Whenever he was approached or he was accused by the Pharisees, he did not get angry. He did not shout. He used the same book that they were using to teach the people. He said, do you not know? Did you not read? Did you not hear? He quoted from somewhere. So in that light, it was difficult for the Pharisees to bounce back because he would quote the same scripture they were using. So what I'm saying is, if you talk about corruption, everybody knows about corruption in Liberia. We know the judicial system is corrupt because we know cases have been there for years and years. Like that apostle mentioned about the $16 billion. That being from George Weah from the beginning of the time all the way to the end, and then Weah is there. Nobody's hearing anything about it. Now, if you stick on those issues and don't bring in these different things, look, you have everybody's support. But just imagine, people who are defending him will go and will still have to use a conjunction. That is a problem. That is a problem. If I have to defend you and add over conjunction, that is a problem.
So let's look at what our brother Moriba Wida is saying here. Again, I don't want to go into this direction, but we just got to address the brother's question. He's asking for the difference. What's the difference between the lawmaker who stands on top of the car and calls everybody? Every president have come, this lawmaker have actually made a mockery of them. This lawmaker have made a mockery of them. Curse them out, curse their mom, curse their wives, and whoever he can put his mouth on. And he will say some of the most denigrated things about the executive branch of government. You know, and what's the difference? And Moriba is also asking this question: is the Supreme Court an institution? You know, is the Supreme Court? I mean, or is it how was it affected by this? And you know, I mean, to try to answer this question, the only thing I
Yes.
can see here is the whole thing is about this person, the Chief Justice of the court, now trying to flex his muscle to say, look, my institution is noble. And I'm not going to sit here for you to curse down on my institution.
Also,
When it comes to precedent,
somebody,
when it comes to precedent, right? When it
Yeah.
comes to precedent,
Mhm.
it was before 2019. Before 2019, if you caused the president, the executive branch leader, you could be arrested for defamation or undermining the government for security. The government could put any charges on you. However, though, George Weah repealed Section 11-11 of the Penal Code. Okay, Judge Weah repealed that, giving an exemption. However, that particular clause in the Penal Code only addressed the president. It doesn't address the Supreme Court. So legally, you can insult the president and you get away with it. If the president can prove beyond reasonable doubt that there's a libel, yes, you will pay. But when it comes to that, the Supreme Court does not fall under Section 11 of the Penal Code.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're using Article 74, you know, to enforce that particular charge of the contempt charges. You know, and it basically, you know, I just want Dr. Positive, I want people to kind of understand this, you know, because we can go up and down, we can sing this song all day. Our brother was never charged for cursing, for opening his mouth. And the reason this point is super important, I have seen so many Facebook pages since Friday, people are just venting. They go on Facebook and they say, you know what, Mr. Supreme Court Justice, and this and this and this, to hell with you, and they start using some provocative vulgarity.
so how many people would it be able to bring to justice now? Fast track, since one person started it. How many? How many people would
looking
it
at this as an attempt to silence free speech?
Yeah.
Looking at it as an attempt to silence free speech. And so that is why people are just so angry about it. And they have now started this social media campaign where they are just using their platform on social media and to send their messages to the press, to the court system, and say, look, there are rape cases sitting there, nothing happened. There are theft cases happening, nothing happened. There are extrajudicial ritualistic killing that took place in the country, nothing happened. Why now this case?
Well, so I will say two things, right? Rose said he's so rude and it's about time. So what if it's a interesting, a timely coincidence, right? So let's say the other chief justices that were there didn't take it too serious, right? When he was insulting other people, but it just happened that this time around, this one said, hey, we've been trying to bring you here, and now you step on the wrong stone, we're going to take you down, because at some point this needs to stop. So it could have been his supporter, the Supreme Court supporters will say this is what you call it, untimely coincidence, that it just happened that they've been planning to bring him to justice, but they never had anything to bring him on, and the fact that he crossed that line, they have something in the book that like Tapolosia said, to use against him to bring him in. And it's about time. At what point in our society will we stop, or will we sanction a good public discourse without insulting, without abusing people, without disgracing people? Can we just have a simple discussion and talk about what will benefit our country? What the things that are impacting our country without insulting anybody? And we have done this on this platform. And Bill Rogers is saying, no matter how much positive, interesting thing you say, our Liberian people will not listen to you. They will not follow you. But the people that do all the crazy thing online, they are the one that is getting most of the views. So is this something that Liberian themselves are in support of? Is this why we having this discussion all over the internet and all over social media? Because this is what we like. People say that we like fries, they like G's. So is this what Liberian like, and is this what is making this so popular?
Wow. I mean, you made a very good point, Steve. Because look, I don't compare our numbers with any other platform numbers. I don't compare our numbers. I think we come here, we are doing a public service and we enjoy it and we do these things, whether we're doing it on the radio in Liberia, we enjoy what we do here. So our page, we're not looking to like, let's get this number of views to get, but you are absolutely right. When you look at our numbers compared to these individuals that we're talking about, they have bigger numbers. So maybe Liberians themselves support this idea. But what I want to do, though, Sapalucia, since you are in charge of our constitution thing today, constitutional analysis, I want to come back here because I think the Supreme Court is trying to get it both ways. They are very crafty in this. Again, I'm using common sense. I'm not using law. Stephen is the only person that did Law 101. Sapalucia, we want to take you to be a Bon County senator or representative. And so we want you to know the Constitution. But let me go here. The Supreme Court, Sapalucia, in my little opinion, they're trying to have it both ways. And they are very smart. Jealous Satan. That they did something that Satan did. They come back to this man and they say, we're charging you with contempt of court. And they use that contempt clause, it's in Article 74, and they use that in our free speech clause. We're charging with contempt of court for disrespecting the entire judiciary system. But look at the penitent phase, what they're asking. This is where they show their true colors.
Yes.
Because in the penitent phase now, they say, not only are we going to tell you to go to jail for 6 months, but after 6 months, then you have to publish a formal apology to the court. And Liberian women, for 5 consecutive days, they got to be in the right? So now you say you're charging the man for just disrespecting the judiciary. Sapalucia, go ahead before Dr. President.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. I didn't.
You see that, and before I don't want to lose my trend here, because let me I will come to that question, but let us address Mr. Yanti concern here, because I think most of our audience and the same reaction that people are doing in Liberia is the same that most will still doing here. We look at some of the things that go on Facebook. Again, people keep saying, look at this thing that's sitting down, this case are sitting down, that case are sitting down. We who did civics in Liberia, cases have to go through different courts before it reaches the Supreme Court.
That's correct.
I did American politics and I did American court. The Supreme Court of the United States got hundreds of thousands of cases to look into. In a year, they only do the most 100. That is why it's not unique to Liberia. So people don't think that, the cases are happening here. It doesn't. In the United States of America, where they have all the technical, they're getting paid and they're doing everything, and they have all the resources with staff. The most they do a year, the Supreme Court here, 100 cases. That's the most. Okay? So we shouldn't kind of try to make Liberia as if they say will be unique.
And most of the other cases, they don't even want to touch. They send it back to the lower court.
They send it back, yeah. So, and out of the 100 cases that they review, sometimes only 20 to 30 that they will really go and talk about, and they'll either write an opinion about. So please don't bother the Supreme Court with all these different cases. If you want your case to be heard by the Supreme Court, when it is adjudicated by the lower courts, the various circuit courts and whatever magistrate court, let it go up the ladder and then it will reach the Supreme Court. So let us forget about Supreme Court not picking up 16 billion, Supreme Court not picking up a corner case or Judy Andy cases. Let us put that to rest. This is not about that. Now, you see, the Supreme Court was smart. And again, like I said earlier, they did not bring defamation lawsuit against him.
Yeah.
But as they are, like you said, they're being crafty. So they're not just trying to appeal to the legal system, they're also trying to appeal to the political system. They're trying to appeal to the international community. They're trying to appeal to the most important group of society, the women. Because this particular individual, that's why some of us blocked him long time ago. Every time he sat on a test, on a podcast, the first group of people, as if to say the women, and he's married. That's one of these. I don't know why he's married to a woman. That's the first thing he will come up with. that guy will start to abuse women, whether it is the person who is dealing with that guy is whether it's a guy or a female, he's gonna leave that person alone and start dealing with whatever woman that comes behind him, which I think it doesn't make sense. The chief justice stealing, the mother may not even know, but I don't know whether she's alive or not. She may not even know about it. Whether she knows about it, it's not her job. So why are you insulting this poor woman? So I think, yes, you will say they were crafty, but that's the wisest thing that they could have done, to make him feel that the public are behind them and the women are behind them, civil society are behind them. As long as they keep going, only those people, and again, unless Liberian can be objective, let me put it this way, unless you can be objective and look at the rationale behind what's going on and not be UPS, sedition, or whatever you want to call yourself, and look at our country as Liberia, where we want to promote love, we want to promote peace, we want to promote civility, and not this vocal listening or vocal listening, whatever you want to call it. But we have to clean our language to address the issue, and that's the only way we'll be heard.
And Stevie, I want to come to you, but let me go. I know you were taking note, but I want you to address Mr. Rogers' question here real quick. Because I think it's going in the direction that you, Stephen, mentioned earlier when you talk about maybe this is what Liberians like. They want to hear vulgarity. They want to hear people just get on Facebook and curse people. Stephen, I mean, between you and myself, I kid you not. If you watch any content, whether it's coming from Liberian bloggers or coming from these people, the gossip content, or whether it's this person causing, I don't want to say their names here, I don't want to promote them, but there are some people here that have platforms, and everybody turn to them. Some of their names, they turn to them and say, oh, because all they talk about, you sleep with this person, you sleep with that person, and so Liberians, we eat it up. And that's the kind of question Bill is talking about here, Rogers. He's saying, he's giving us compliment as a panelist. He said, look, we're doing a good job here. What we're doing, we're educating people, sending them back to the Constitution, trying to tell the public, hey, this man did not go to jail for causing. He go to jail for something in the judiciary system, which is called contempt. And we educate him. But he's asking us this important question, Stephen. How many Liberians want to turn into this boring thing we're talking about?
Well, Sharif, I'll just answer your question by talking, using the example our friend told us on the radio station in Liberia. He said, you guys speak too much book stuff. You talk too much intelligent stuff on your platform. Liberians are not interested in intelligent stuff. That's what a young kid in Liberia told us. Liberians are not interested in intelligent stuff. So you're wasting your time. You understand? So even for this, how you call it, Valentine's Day, I wanted to bring a whole talk about the Side Chick Association, the Single People Association. Maybe that one we're going to give up plenty to follow. But anyway, coming back to reality, we have to stick to the course, because in every society, some organization have to stand its ground and say, no matter what, whether two people, and I'll tell you what made me to carry on this platform, Sherry. I'll tell everybody today. I had shut down for about 5 or 6 months, right? I wasn't going live, and I went to Monrovia Lounge we had here in Dallas, and this guy pulled me aside, and he said, Stephen, why did you stop what you were doing? And I said, man, you ain't like what I'm doing. People not supporting me. He said, no, it's not like that. Some of us may not share, or we may not do anything, but the thing you're doing, the advice and the encouragement you're giving some of us, it touched our heart. So please, do not stop. You understand? Please do not stop. Keep doing what you're doing. I was walking in Walmart, and this woman walked by me. He stopped me. He said, man, you are the owner of Liberia, right? I said, yeah. He said, listen, you guys are doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. So from that time, I had to restart everything. And I said, even if it's for one person, I'm no longer going to watch how many people watch me when I'm live. I'm no longer going to watch how many people watch or after we finish. I'm just going to come up with the topics. I'm going to present it. Whether one person watches, the fact that one life in Liberia is changing, the fact that one life in Liberia is deciding to become better, we will continue doing what we're doing. And that's how I was able to continue. Unfortunately for me, you guys joined me. And today we have a whole team going. You understand? So I would say to you guys too publicly, let's keep trying. no matter how many people watching, or let's keep trying. But it's important that somebody stand their ground to talk about the betterment of Liberia. And someday, I believe that we can be better. And on the Supreme Court, I will say to them, just because somebody step on your toes, it shouldn't be the law of the land. Let everybody benefit from this action that you're taking today.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Positive. And I really like the sentiments that we got coming in. Dinkins Keller, the concern that is coming in. Dinkins is kind of saying, look, I've never been interested in Liberian politics, but looking at important cases, I think that's what he meant to say. Looking at important cases sitting there, they wouldn't even take care. They won't take cases involving a little boy, a little child. I don't want to even think about that, what he is saying. But we hear about some of these cases. Just a few months ago, I think it was October or November, there were a few women gathered in front of the Temple of Justice. They were standing right across the street. But for a 14-year-old girl that also went through this whole molestation process. And we don't even know up to today how that case ends. So yeah, we understand there are all of these different cases taking place. And I completely understand why certain segment of the Liberian population is upset. I get it. Because people are saying we got important cases out there, you don't touch it. But somebody come and cross your mind, now you can turn this whole thing into a Supreme Court case out of nowhere. Do you know how many people get abused every day? You know how many people lose their life every day? I got a brother who was just killed right there in that Tinker village by accident. And I was shocked when I heard the insurance company say, "Oh, my man, we can only get a family $1,000." What kind of mess is that? Who does that? What is the system? What is there not to see that it is corrupt?
Yeah, have a sympathy, brother.
Gentlemen, we got about 8 minutes here, so I really want to give you guys some time to try to exhaust some of the research that you have done for this case. I know we are not wasting too much time on talking about those characters, but we want to bring the civility back. And it is not only in Liberia we're talking about civility, even in this country where we live. There are a lot of uncivilized things taking place in our society. Whether it's our preso calling people names, whether it's our preso making racist meme and putting people name on it. There are a lot of uncivilized things going on. But should we follow that trend and say, let's bring the same thing to Liberia? No. We want a civilized society where people can go along. So, Sapulisi, let me go with you, and I'll come back and give some time to Stephen.
Yes. So, before we go, I want us to know this. I know I always tell people this, but I didn't take my time to really define the word insult. And I always tell people, oh, insult is just mean that you dehumanizing somebody, right? And that's what it is all about. But if you really define insults, it's people who use it are people who are trying to show that they have power over another person. They want to show that dominance over people and want to show that another person is inferior to them. Is that what you really want? I don't think that's what the Constitution defines us. According to the Liberal Constitution, all men are created in the eyes of the law equal. That's what the Liberal Constitution says. So let us stop this way of addressing civil issue by profanity. It doesn't help our nation. It doesn't help our cause. And yes, people say, oh, they just caused the Supreme Court. Yes, it did that. But let us not forget the same Supreme Court that you identify as corrupt, if they're not adjudicating cases the right way, investors will be afraid to come in the country. So when you undermine your judicial system, I'm not saying they are perfect, I'm not saying they are great or they are doing the right thing, but if we start to undermine them, the very investor that's supposed to bring companies or how to get companies and job opportunity in your country will not do it because they feel that your judicial system is not right. It's not the best place to be. Because the judicial system comes or receives cases from the Justice Department, which is the arm of the executive branch. So if you don't have trust in the judicial system, you will not have trust in the executive branch. And if you don't have trust in the executive branch, you will not have trust in the legislature. So it's a cycle that you're looking at. And it's because each of those are corrupt. That's why we're not looking at the judicial system to be corrupt. But I don't think the best way is by going to insult the judicial system or discredit the judicial system in a way that it will bring up you, who's supposed to be a hero, to become a victim or to become the villain. And that's what this guy did. Okay, and that's what many of them do in Liberia. They think profanity is the way to get them popular, to get more likes, to get more share. But hey, those like the Bill Russell, the Riverstairs Pro, Weeder, and whoever you are, Keller, keep coming to this platform, because here we are going to address issues that will cause Liberia to rise. Our aim is to develop, educate, and learn from one another. That's the way we can move Liberia forward. Each one of us, and I mean us, Liberians, we all have a contribution to make to the development of the country. The best way to do it is use our talent to promote better image of the flag that we represent, the seal that we talk about, we're defending. So those are things that we should be referencing when we talk about Liberia. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for all those that contributed. And thanks Dr. Positive and Sherry for sharing this platform with me. It's an honor and a privilege to share this platform with you guys. Our audience, thank you. Happy belated Valentine's Day to all the lovers. Myself, I'm a lover. I've been there for so many years now, and we're going to keep going.
Liberia Romeo.
Steven, talk to me, man. Start doing the whole Valentine thing. Steven, talk to me, my brother.
All right. To my sister Rose and all Liberian women and every other Liberian, whether male or female, that have been impacted by such a broadcast, such broadcasters, I want to apologize to you on behalf of the country. This is not Liberia. This is not who we are. But as we all close, I want all of us to take this and ask ourselves this question. And to the Supreme Court, I want to ask you this question. Is it just justice, or is it a power grab? Now, many of us Liberians will have answers to this differently depending on which side we stand. But what we should realize is, in order for a country to develop, it requires strong democracy. Judiciary have to protect the dignity of the public and itself. Our country, in order for democracy to be strong, the citizens must be able to speak their mind. They must be able to speak on issues that are going on. And then finally, a strong democracy requires institutions that respond consistently and not selectively, not self-centered, not when my foot is stepped on the only time I render justice. So to close, I just want to say to all of you, this is more, it's not just about this one person. It is more about the greater Liberia that we all seek. This is about accountability, it's about respect, and it's about justice. So even if we hold in the Chief Justice accountable or wrong for this, let's look at it this way, that even just for this one thing, we know that Liberia justice system is working. And if we want investors to come in our country, we have to have a dignified country for all of us to live in. So I want to thank you guys on that. Mr. Sharif, the floor is yours.
Now, to all of our viewers, again, we want to say thank you for joining us today. And those that will come and watch the rebroadcast, we say thank you for joining us. And if we did not get to your comments, we sincerely apologize. River says, Flo, you had some great comments here. We may not have gotten to all of them, so we sincerely apologize. But one of the things that I wanted to say in my closing is this. This case, I truly look at this case as one of those cases that will go down as a case for precedent setting in our country. Now, if this is going to be a case for precedent setting, we have to make sure that we are using the Constitution, we are interpreting the Constitution correctly. We do not want to come across as we are sanctioning free speech. We don't want to come across as we are telling people you cannot express yourself. And I will follow this up by saying, look, free speech is not free. Nothing is free. Like my good friend Sapalusia was saying, he mentioned Liberia being a Christian nation and the sacrifice of Jesus. He mentioned that. And I want to kind of follow up on that. You and myself who received this free gift from Jesus, from God, for a free gift of salvation, to us, it is free. But to Jesus, that gift is not free. He had to die for it. And so I love history. When you go to Washington, D.C., and you have time to go to the Korean War Veteran Memorial in Washington, D.C., you will see a beautiful inscription that says, freedom is not free. Because to you who's sitting in this country, it is free to you. The people that have to go to the battlefront and fight for that freedom, it is not free. Most of them lose their life. And so when you have your freedom of speech, just like you read Article 74, there are limitations. Just as we read in the freedom of speech clause, there are limitations. And that limitation, you have to be ready to face the consequences of your action. And in this case, we are not passing judgment on anyone. We are not here to say this person is wrong, this person is right, but we are trying to say our country, if Liberia will rise, if Liberia is going to be one of those nations that people will say, wow, of all the African countries, Liberia is different, it must start with each and every one of us. It must start with us. If we want a civilized society, we must engage ourselves in civility. We must engage ourselves in intellectual thinking, and we must have a great discussion. We must disagree without hurting one another. And if we do so, we will find ourselves among the most disciplined people